Welcome to Tuesday night, and this is the Newsfeed Late Night. I am Nqaba. The state of our metros, that is what we're looking at today in our Mayors Roundtable. Joining me today is Nelson Mandela Bay Mayor Nqaba Bhanga, Johannesburg Mayor Geoff Makhubo, Tshwane Mayor Randall Williams, and eThekwini Mayor Mxolisi Kaunda. To be a part of the conversation tonight, WhatsApp your questions and your comments to 072-110-5584, or you can tweet us at Newsroom405 and use the hashtag tonight, Roundtable on 405. Mayors, good evening, and thank you very much for joining us tonight on the Newsfeed Late Night.
Good evening to you.
Good evening, sir. I want to start with Mayor Bhanga. I know you literally have less than 100 days in office, but this is a question that I think all the mayors are dealing with, and that I'm going to give all of you an opportunity to reflect on. Do we have in South Africa generally a city manager-mayor relationship challenge, considering in KZN there is a city manager-mayor relationship challenge there? In Johannesburg City, they've amicably decided to part ways. There have been challenges in Tshwane as well around the city manager. And if you look at Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, I think you've had a lot of city managers changing office there, at least in the last 2 years. Mayor Bhanga, do we have a challenge generally in our municipalities which I suppose creates a level of ethical issues around the governance of municipalities between mayors and city managers?
I must say for now, in Nelson Mandela, we do have an acting city manager, but I must take it further and say, look, for the next 10 years, because of the nature of the local, state and coalition government, this is what South Africa have to engage and deal with. Because coalition governments are new to us and are bringing us a lot of problems. The only way to resolve this crisis is to separate the administration from politics, and for administrators to play their role as administrators. And because if administrators start to be politicians, that's where the problem starts to occur. And if politicians want to be administrators, and I think all of us as a local state, we must begin to start to learn, because this is how South Africa going forward is going to look like. You will have a municipal manager who have a history of being in the ANC, and have a mayor who have a history of being in a democratic alliance or in the opposition. And local state, by the way, it's not supposed to be party aligned. We're supposed to, all of us, focus into how to deliver services to our people. It's supposed to be the state closest to the people, where we appoint civil servant that qualifies and who can deliver on services. Professionals, by the way. And also we must start in South Africa appointing and electing mayors who are capable to run the state, who understand the importance of separating between the two, with capacity, by the way, who understand the local state, who are trained in this regard. Because the gap of training between municipal managers and mayors also becomes another problem, where the other hand undermines the other. And I think in Nelson Mandela, so far, I can say I work with a city manager who's not aligned to the DA, because in the DA, we don't select people on the basis of party affiliation. It's ANC. Fortunately, we come from the student movement together. We understand we differ about issues, but our relations remain professional. And I think that's the kind of South Africa we need to build in order for us to build a strong local state.
Mayor Kaunda, your city manager failed to petition the court to relax his bail conditions. Essentially, the courts have rendered him unable to carry out his accounting officer duties. Now you have a situation in the municipality where you are essentially paying two city managers, the acting one and the former one. How are you planning to resolve that issue?
Yes, thank you very much for having us, Nqaba. Good evening to the viewers at home. Yes, we are having a challenge with our municipal manager, but it hasn't presented challenges to the municipality. We do have an acting city manager, and we are continuously engaging with the city manager to ensure that we put a closure on the issues, of course, dealing with the availability of himself, because the judgment has precluded him to come at work, so we need to reach a particular consensus. But we have developed, together with the city management, a clear vision, and we are sharing the very same vision of the municipality with all our employees and the administration. And we are also happy and delighted to report that we have been achieving everything that we have set for ourselves since we arrived here as well. We have developed our own economic recovery plan, which was of its first nature in the country, which is now yielding positive results in the city. We have also attained about 12 blue flags in our beaches, which also talk to the interventions we are making in making sure that we keep the international standards in our shores. So there are many achievements which we have achieved, but we are working together with our city management, and we are also certain that working with our stakeholders through our eThekwini Economic Council and many other platforms which we have created, so that we can share all of us to this vision of our municipality to become a livable and as well as a caring city by 2030.
I'm going to come to some of the economic programs that you have got in place. I just want you to address that particular question in itself, that you are paying 2 city managers. You might be able to operate with the acting one, but the taxpayer, I suppose, has a right to know and get an answer as to how long is this arrangement going to continue, and you see it as a viable option to be paying 2 salaries. Is it really fair on the taxpayer?
Yes, we'll be presenting a report to the ESCO before the council meeting next week, which will be talking on the interventions we are making, because we are still engaging with the city manager, because we have asked him to ensure that as much as it's faced with difficulties, but we must allow the city to continue to operate. So as a result, there must be an acting city manager. On top of that, we must resolve the issues, because we must remain with one city manager. That's a report which we'll be presenting after the engagements that will be engaging him with his legal team to ascertain that there is stability and certainty in terms of administration in our municipality. But we have instilled a culture which starts to resuscitate and regenerate the spirit of unity within the municipality. So we are happy so far that it hasn't disrupted us in implementing our program. Yeah.
Mayor Williams, you have challenged the appointment also of your city manager in your municipality. What are the challenges there?
Well, actually, we haven't. I haven't. Neither did my Mako. You know, it seems to be a challenge in a number of municipalities, especially where you have city managers and you have executive mayors. Executive mayors are not ceremonial mayors. Executive mayors are involved in the running of the city. So the parties need to clearly define each other's roles. In the past, we've had that problem in Tshwane, where the and the city managers did not get along. Currently, in Tshwane, we have an acting city manager. Now, the acting city manager used to be one of our administrators that was appointed by the provincial government last year. But we get along very well, and that's why I don't see any need for her to leave. We've got election coming up soon, and I think after the elections, the party that can come in can then offer the new city manager a 5-year contract.
So in your view then, in your assessment, what makes that relationship to work?
Well, we're both professional, I think. We respect each other's abilities. We meet regularly, very, very important. We meet every week. We have once a week meetings where we spend 3-4 hours together. And during the week, we speak a lot. We have to work as a team together. And I think that we established right from the start, from my first day in office, which was 1st of November last year.
Mayor Makhubo, you have, in a sense, been asked also by the MEC for Kaunda to give reasons that led to your mutual separation with the city manager. And what are the details of that termination and what that is going to cost the taxpayer? Mayor Makhubo, I think you're muted. If you can unmute for us.
So yes, indeed, Thabo, we indeed had a mutual separation with the former city manager. We could not agree, or at least I was not happy with certain of the key performance issues. When I was elected on the 4th of December, we extended an olive branch and a hand of friendship to all the people we found, and we said, work with us, we'll work with you. And it was only about 30 months later when I said, look, we believe in the Growth and Development Strategy 2040. We believe that with COVID, the COVID response and recovery plan that we have, and believing in the daily lived experience of citizens of Johannesburg through effective and heightened service delivery. If those three are absent, then there's no point in having a relationship. And then we both decided as the groups that, look, as the parties, that it's probably better that we part ways. We did give MEC Mail the report, and he was quite happy with our report.
Yeah. Is there a settlement agreement?
Yes, no, there's a settlement agreement that we both agreed that we should be kept confidential.
Yeah. How much is that going to cost us?
Say that again?
How much is that going to cost us?
No, we already settled with him. What was left, we agreed on certain months to pay. And as I said, both parties agreed that the terms of the agreement, we can agree to keep them confidential, and we did do that.
What we want to know is that is money that is meant for services now going to be paid to settle this amicable parting between the two of you. And therefore, these are the issues that begin to rise, that these relationships then begin to cost the taxpayer, which is something that's not desirable.
Let me say his contract was ending in November this year anyway, so it was left with a few months, and we agreed on paying him 5 or 6 of those months for us to part ways.
One would say, well, Mayor, if you're saying, well, his term was coming to an end anyway in November, why would you have not just let it come to an end in November?
Because I believe that the city needs to be repositioned to focus on heightened service delivery, to focus on proper leadership, to pull the organization. We have a city that is governed through entities. We've got 13 of the entities, about 15 departments or so. So pulling that ship really needed a different type of leader. That I needed a different type of leader, and we had agreed that we could not. After 14 months, of course, of trying to steer the ship together.
Mayor Geoff Makhubo, Randall Williams, Mxolisi Kaunda, and Nqaba Bhanga with us as well. You can be a part of the conversation on Twitter at Newsroom405 and use the hashtag Roundtable on 405, or WhatsApp your questions and your comments to 072-110-5584. When we come back, we'll look at the performance indicators in Nelson Mandela Bay and what they've been able to achieve in the medium term. Do stay with us. Back is the Mayor's Roundtable tonight with Nqaba Bhanga, Geoff Makhubo, Randall Williams, and Mxolisi Kaunda. You're part of the conversation tonight by tagging us on Twitter at Newsroom405 with the hashtag Roundtable on 405, or WhatsApp your questions and your comments tonight to 072-110-5584. What are your questions for the mayors in the various cities? Mayor Bhanga, you are coming in and you have your hands full already with service delivery protests. How are you addressing that situation? I believe you have formed a JOC to address some of the protests which you're saying have tend to be criminal in nature and destroying property.
The first thing in Nelson Mandela we have seen when we took over power was a massive vandalism of state property, a cable theft, destroying of our community wall. One that makes me very painful is Tshwane Community Hall, which 48 million rand was used 2 years back. If I can tell you, Tshwane is on its ashes, down, destroyed brick by brick by our communities. Many of our community walls in the townships have been destroyed totally. And what worried the most is that those who were in the administration were folding their arms and watching a match they're supposed to be playing. And today I met with the police because of the public protests that have been happening for the past 2 weeks, where our communities were banning and continue to banning roads, infrastructure, community walls, and clinics. And I've condemned this today by saying we must not allow a situation where people ban state property. The police must arrest those people. The president has given us direction in this respect, and I'm happy that the police in Nelson Mandela, working with our metropolis, those culprits have been arrested. Because people toy because they need water, but they ban a clinic.
Yeah.
They toy because they need a road, but they ban an ambulance. That kind of a behavior in our country should come to an end, and those who commit criminal acts must be arrested. A business truck of a big company here was banned, broken down, assets were destroyed. But those people were toying for a house, and this is not acceptable. And the president has given us direction in the city. We are going to act decisively in relation to this. And I said, I don't go to a meeting on an invitation because of fire. I won't attend that meeting. My phone is open. My PA answers. I go and attend meetings. Politicians must stop attending meetings when they're invited because people are banning infrastructure of the state. We must open our offices, engage, and deal with the genuine issues raised by the people. There are genuine issues in some communities where people complain about sanitation, complain about water, and all sorts of other things. But there's a growing criminal element in the invasion of land into our communities, where there's a foreign element involved in selling state property here. That briefing, I got it, and we're all aware about it. With criminals who have become gangsters, occupying land of the state and doing whatever they want to do and make our people rent land. And instead of us acting against those people, we want to protect these criminals.
So, Mayor, let's look then at your medium-term indicators in terms of what you've been able to achieve as far as, for example, issues of service delivery, issues of municipal financial viability, and local economic development. The overall score seems to indicate that you've only been able to hit at least 36% of your targets in the last 6 months. Your municipal manager, they're saying, well, much of it is dominated by the fact that we were in a lockdown, in a pandemic environment, and the regulations were inhibiting, for example, issues of staff availability, staff wellness, and the inability of the residents to pay their dues because of the economic situation. But how bad is the state of paralysis? When you talk, for example, basic service delivery, you only were able to partially achieve 2 of your targets, above 75% and 2 below 75%, and overall 20% performance in service delivery.
You must remember that I took over a responsibility in this city in December. When I took over this city, even when I was the leader of the opposition, this city did not, Treasury did not give them the equitable share of 1.6 billion rand. This 1.6 billion rand was supposed to have started being spent in 2019 December. That allocation was not made until we fought with Treasury. And on the 4th of December, when I took over on the 5th, at least National Treasury released that amount of money. Therefore, there's no way that this municipality could have spent, because there was no leadership at all. The government of that time was refusing to do the recommendation of National Treasury. When we started to act on these things, National Treasury have released the money. I can tell you, as we speak right now, I'll make sure that the contracts that were supposed to be approved have been approved. If you come to Nelson Mandela, as we speak today, it has become a construction site. We're building roads, we're putting street lights, we're maintaining our potholes. Potholes alone that we have dealt with are more than 5,636 since I took over in December. Before I took over, nobody was doing anything about potholes. We've improved our rate collection from 70.7% to 82%. Therefore, there's work. We've established governance. We've introduced a short spotter where there were elements of crime. Yeah. We've been able to put up systems with the South African police and our Metro Police to identify areas where there's serious shooting. Out of that, we've reacted to close 92 shootings since I took over, in particular to areas such as Helensville. I'm busy as I'm speaking with you, dealing with the plan of vandalism of state property. I've deployed close to 900 Metro security officers. I'm busy working on CCTV to make sure that we protect these assets. I've built partnership with the business chamber and also Transnet. You might have seen myself leading the welcoming of Transnet in our community.
Right.
In saying, let's work together in building a regional economy, and not only build a regional economy, and build a city leadership with a city vision. Not only a vision of the mayor, but a vision of all stakeholders into our city to make sure that we inspire hope to our people.
All right, we're going to delve in and dig deep a little bit in that economic development, but let's bring in the higher mayors. Mayor Kaunda, only 40% of the city's economy was operational during April to June in 2020 because of the COVID-19, and a decline in economic growth there would be also attributed to the decline that was already being seen in the third quarter of 2019. Talk to me about the capital projects, long-term ones, which your economic department are saying will be quite crucial in the recovery of the economy that you are putting in place.
Thank you. We have also developed an investor climate that really attracts and repositions us as an investment destination as a city. If you look at the period in question which we have raised, we were able even to maintain an investment of 3.5 billion rand during the hard lockdown level within the country. But we're able to raise and maintain such an investment. And we are working together with different stakeholders, especially businesses within the city, to sustain their investment. During that period in 2020, where the potential of 14.1 billion rand major infrastructure projects, which are already now being rolled out within the city, which we expect that they will be able to create during the construction phase more than 10,250 jobs. And we are also anticipating that as we proceed as the city, we'll also have in the next 5 years an investment of 217 billion rand within the city, which will also assist us to create 200,000 jobs during construction and 10,000 permanent jobs. In terms of provision of good governance, we have raised our revenue collection. We were seated at 56% in April last year. We are now seated at 96%, which then assists us to deal with major challenges of funding our infrastructure program. In all corners of our city, there is work that is being done. The construction is taking place. In the areas of the south, there are programs that are forthcoming. Auto Supply Park in south of Durban. We also talk about in the northern part of our city, the Cornubia development, which is mixed-use development, the brickworks and the Cateridge Logistic Park, which will also enable us to unlock the congestion that we are experiencing in our port as the biggest port in Southern Hemisphere.
Let's talk about the port. Talk about the port a little bit further. You recently held a meeting with some of the businesses there, but also with some of the stakeholders and players. The issue around muck that is coming into the port because of the city's failure to maintain the stormwater drains. There seems to be a disagreement between whether you must fund it or Transnet must fund it. What is actually happening there?
We have actually intervened in that space. We have put some bins which are assisting us to block, to ensure that there is a blockage of the dirtiness that is coming from the biggest rivers of the city. That has also yielded some positive results, because even our beaches, that's what has enabled us to attain a blue flag status in our beaches. So we are intervening in that direction. But to revitalize the activities of our port, we have welcomed the investment by Transnet to ensure that there are port expansions to enable us to welcome even bigger ships coming to our city. Those investments will also reposition Durban as the number one port in Africa. We are now standing at number 3 because other 2 countries have surpassed us. So we are working on those details, and we are happy to report that all the interventions since the President visited our shores, there have been some visible actions taken by the Transnet, and new machines have been brought in place. So the port is now functional and there is efficiency. We still there is work in progress to ensure that we upgrade that. But we also have other new upcoming developments in Tshwane, development in the Mall of the West, which will also be a mixed-use development, which will create a number of jobs. But we are happy to see that all stakeholders are coming together to this shared vision. Very soon we'll be announcing as eThekwini municipality through our eThekwini Economic Council the signing of social compacts with all partners, business, academia, civil society, labor. We are working together to produce the results, because we need to reposition Durban to become the Durban that you can think of beyond COVID-19, to rediscover Durban. So our campaigns are focused on that, to promote our tourism and the manufacturing industries within the city through our Electropolis program, which is happening closer to the trade port.
I want to come back and talk to you, Mayor, about your inner city regeneration program, which you're calling City Means Business, and you'll give us more details on that. Mayor Nqaba, Bhanga, Geoff Makhubo, Randall Williams, and Mxolisi Kaunda with us tonight, and you're part of the conversation. Tweet us at Newsroom405. Use the hashtag Roundtable on 405. WhatsApp your questions and comments to 072-110-5584. We're back in a moment. Mayors of the city of Johannesburg, Tshwane, the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality, as well as eThekwini, with us tonight in conversation on what are the challenges that they are faced with in their administration, but also how are they intervening to resolve them. We'd like your questions for the mayors tonight on Twitter at Newsroom405, or WhatsApp your questions to 072-110-5584. Remember, the hashtag tonight is hashtag Roundtable on 405. Member Kubo, 400 million or so, that's what the opposition is reporting to have been involved in some corrupt dealings around the COVID-19 funding. What are you doing to recover those funds, but also to discipline errant officials who are involved in this corruption? I think you're muted again.
Yeah, so the figures are not correct, Thabo.
Yeah.
The opposition were just playing games. We gave them audited a report from internal audit on the 2 phases of the COVID spending, and it's nowhere near those figures. I think we spent in total throughout the city with its entities till December, January 2021, about 290 million or so, roundabout. And wherever there was suspicion of wrongdoing, we took the issues to GFIS, which is the Group Forensic Investigation Unit. And I can tell you that the SIU is investigating certain of the transactions in 2 of our entities, one which is the Johannesburg Property Company, and the other one which is the Johannesburg Social Housing Company. So we are investigating whatever is suspicious, but and we will take consequence management. We will enact consequence management as it relates to any malfeasance that we find, or any wrongdoing that we find as it relates to the COVID-19 spending.
Yeah, particularly on the Johannesburg Property Company, your advisor was appointed there as acting CEO. Do you see any conflict there?
No, not at all. I mean, he's holding the fort because there was instability. We had to intervene as the mayor's office. Rui Matang is a very capable man. He's a highly qualified man. He's got a master's degree in town planning. He's holding the fort, and the company is stabilizing. And then we can take it from there.
And then talk to us about some of the issues that are being raised, for example, by a predecessor, that you have rolled back extended operating hours at our clinics, despite, of course, that particular strategy having proved to be quite effective.
I don't know what he's talking about. There's nothing like that. There's a measurement that we've been using for the busy periods of clinics. The reports have been to cancel. We've not rolled back any of the operating hours in any of the clinics that we're operating for longer periods. I just think that he's campaigning, so he's trying to find something to say. So I'm not even worried and concerned about what he says.
So as far as you're concerned, the clinics are still opening late. There's one that used to open until 9 that you have now shifted to 7. I think it's, is it in Primrose, if I'm not mistaken?
No, it's in Princess.
Princess, yes.
Yes, it's in Princess, that between 7 and 9, literally for the longest of time, there'll be one or no patients at all. So statistically, because we're tracking the statistics of the patient movements all the time, and part of the problem is transport, because Princess is an informal settlement and the clinic is just outside. So in order to get to the clinic, I think the target community would struggle with transport at that time. So it's something that we're looking at and seeing how we can assist, how our emergency services can intervene. But for now, yes, I mean, there will be no point in keeping when the patients are not there, keeping the clinic open when the patients are not there.
So are you saying the impact is negligible?
No, the impact is negligible. It doesn't have an effect on the communities around. The communities still are getting the health services that they need. They are getting treatments that they need. The clinic is still servicing the community of Princess and surrounding areas.
All right, Mayor Williams, let's look at Tshwane then. Only 48% of the expenditure that you need to be putting, or rather the work that you need to be putting into the Roy Val water treatment plant has been achieved, and you're only expecting to reach 50% by the end of this year. That's according to your address. Do you think that's adequate, and why is it such a tiny shift?
Well, actually, it's not a tiny shift. If you look, this is a problem that started in 2004. And until 2019, no previous administration did anything about it. So we put a phase 1 project in place in 2019 that started in 2019. It's a huge phase that needed to be constructed. It cost about over 260 million rands. That phase is now being completed next year. A lot of engineering planning had to go into it. And at the same time, Rooiwal is not only the only wastewater treatment plant that we have been expanding. We've also expanded the Baviaanspoort wastewater treatment plant, which is which is starting operations next month. The Rooiwal phase 1 will be completed October next year. And then what we've done is we've now got a partnership with the National Water Department, whereby we will then fund the phase 2 and 3 of the water treatment projects, and that will cost over 2 billion rands. So the project is now fully funded for the first time ever since 2004, and that will make provision for Hammanskraal to have clean water for the next 30 years.
Yeah. Mayor, you refused to participate in the probe that was recently held, a 3-day public hearing in the problem of water in Hammanskraal. Why did you refuse to participate in that process?
No, I'm not prepared to participate in a political stunt. What we participated in was the investigation done by the Human Rights Commission. That is a constitutional entity. We've fully participated in that. They've come up with recommendations. the recommendations, we've seen the draft recommendations. That still needs to go to National Department of Water and Sanitation. We've already, like I said, in 2019 already started with a plan to ensure that Hammanskraal people will get clean water. We didn't wait for any investigation. So the plan is in place. The plan is fully funded. It's a project that's going to last 5 years. It's a 5-year project. So the 2 billion rand will pay for that project over 5 years. And after the 5-year period, Hammanskraal people, for the first time since 2004, will be guaranteed clean water for the next 30 years.
Now, Mayor, the other critical issue that has been raised is the question of the operating deficit of 4 billion rands, and some of the opposition party benches are saying you did not present a plan or a clear plan, particularly around revenue collection as part of your State of the City address.
Of course we have a clear plan. I mean, look where we are today. I can give you examples. The 4 billion rand deficit, that was the deficit of the administrators in the last financial year that ended on the 30th of June. They turned a surplus of 260 million rands into a 4 billion rand deficit within 3 months. And that is not where they stopped. For this financial year, they were overly optimistic when they planned the budget for the 2020-2021 financial year. They sort of used the assumption that they will collect 95% of revenue during a lockdown period while we've got this pandemic raging and people losing their jobs, not being able to pay their accounts. For some reason, they thought they will still be able to collect 95% of revenue. What then happened from the first month of this financial year, July, they only managed to collect 78%. The other months, they didn't do much better either. They collected 34, 83, and then 84% of revenue. Since November, our first month in office, we pushed up the revenue collection to over 89%. With the result, by the end, because of the poor planning, by the first half of this financial year, which ended 31st of December, we ended up with a budget shortfall of 2 billion rands. So we then had to do an adjustments budget where we had to make sure that the expenditure is in line with the lower revenue collections. That we've done. We've now done away with the 2 billion rand shortfall. What they've also done, the administrators previously, to cover up the 4 billion rand shortfall in the previous financial year, they then used up all our savings. We had almost 3 billion rand in savings that they spent. And not only that, they then borrowed over 700 million rands in short-term loans. Now, short-term loans, if you borrow that during a financial year, you have to pay it off before or on the last day of this financial year, which was the 30th of June. Now, what have we achieved as the new administration? We have already paid off the 760 million rands. We didn't wait until 30th of June of this year.
Right.
So we're managing our finances quite well.
17 billion rands, though, being owed. What short-term intervention are you putting in place to get that 17 billion rands that you're owed?
Well, that's another interesting question. The reason why we were placed under administration was because of our debtors book, which stood at over 12 billion rands during March last year, and that was a reason used by provincial government to place us under administration. When we got to office, beginning of November, we found out that the debtors book over an 8-month period rose to over 17 billion. So during the administration of 8 months, the debtors book rose by more than 5 billion rands. It's now currently standing at over 18 billion rands. So what we have done, like I said, first of all, we raised the revenue collection rates, which is now around 89%. We are quite certain it's going to go up above 92% for the remainder of this financial year. Then what we've done, we started an aggressive program, a very, very aggressive program to install prepaid electricity meters, because we are going to a prepaid system. You first pay and then you consume the service. The postpaid does not work out. Now the prepaid system will prevent your debtors book from drastically growing. And what we are doing, we're doing it for electricity. We're also currently piloting a system for water as well. So one of these months, we will also roll out prepaid meters for water. And then what we've done, we've endorsed what the administrators have done. They've appointed 34 debt collection companies, and we endorse that. So we're aggressively going out to collect the monies that are due to the city.
All right. Let's take a break. We'll come back and take some of the questions tonight on WhatsApp as well as on Twitter for the mayors, Bhanga, Geoff Makhubo, Randall Williams, and Mxolisi Kaunda. Your tweets at Newsroom405 is the hashtag Roundtable 405, or WhatsApp your questions to 072-110-5584. You're back with us here on the Newsfeed Late Night, and it's a roundtable with the mayors tonight discussing, of course, the challenges in their administration. Let's go straight to the questions on WhatsApp. This one from Rosebank. It comes from Mpho, as for the mayor in Joburg. But I also want to put this question to the mayor in eThekwini as well. But Mayor, what is the plan for hijacked buildings in the city?
Thank you very much. We do have a problem of hijacked buildings, not only in the main inner city of Johannesburg, but other inner cities, Port, and areas around Windsor and Cresta, and some of the places in the north of Johannesburg. We are working together with our group forensic. They've got a unit within group forensic that's working with the law enforcement agencies to reclaim those hijacked buildings, try and trace the owners. If you can't find the owners, then we abandon the building to the city, because most of them owe the city a lot of money. So we are aggressively pursuing the issue of hijacked buildings in inner city of Johannesburg, in Berea, in Joburg Park, in Hillbrow, Berea, and those and surrounds, Yeoville and surrounds. So the plan is working. We're just doing it, as I said, together with the law enforcement agencies.
Mayor Kaunda, you've got a Cityman's Business program, which is the revitalization of the inner city. But one of the critical areas that you're dealing with, of course, are problem buildings. Now, you've recently been criticized for removing people from the Madiba House, who many are saying mainly are students, and this was against Regulation 36 because we are in a pandemic and they were not supposed to have been removed. Just address those issues and broadly speak about that program.
Yes, we have developed our inner city regeneration program, which is starting to yield positive results. The investment we have put in this program first is to ensure that we engage all property owners within the CPD so that they'll understand our vision as a city. Because some of the buildings, they are really portraying a bad image of our city. So the positive result which we have already yielded is that a number of businesses, more than 21 buildings, have also responded and adhered to our call to ensure that they beautify their buildings, dealing with the issues of the landscaping within the inner city. And we are also working with all other partners in different departments to the properties which are owned by public works and other government departments to ascertain that we keep the students in areas where it is safe. Because remember that we should designate places for student residents where people will feel safe, especially our young people and the vulnerable groups like women, young women. So therefore, we have removed them from the areas where we feel it is not safe, and we've advised the owners of those properties that they should not continue to house students in areas which are not conducive for student accommodation. So the institutions of higher learning, together with students around and their representatives, they are, of course, working on the issues. The ones that we have already attained as a city from the court hearings. We are already putting plans. Some of them will be repurposed for student accommodation, and some of them will also be dealing with the social housing project that we really anticipate that we should bring about 450,000 people to reside within the inner city so that we can regenerate the economy of our city. So these programs are really yielding positive results. Very soon we'll be inviting you as media to join me next week to conduct visits to these buildings which have been rehabilitated and some which are already under construction or under rehabilitation.
Right.
So we are looking forward in bringing more investment through this program because it really enhances our own strategies to attract investment to the city.
Mayor Williams, a question for you from Sipelo in Ga-Rankuwa. Mayor Williams, I have a problem with city workers who fail to do water readings around Mabopane and Ga-Rankuwa areas. Meters are outside our yards. We are being charged for unsubstantial readings. Estimations are used here. Please help.
Oh, that's precisely why I started with this program to install prepaid meters. Yes, the system of using meter readers who's supposed to go out and read the meters, and then you have these estimates, which are on a number of occasions we've had problems, well, more than a number of occasions, quite regularly. We have problems with estimations. So we are now following a policy where we're going to totally do away with estimations, and there won't also be a need for meter readers. And this has been fast-tracked.
Mayor Bhanga, let's talk then about the issues of councillors in your municipality reporting their financial interests, I suppose, including whether or not they're doing business with the municipality. 61.6% of them have been reporting. What's the challenge then getting more of your councillors reporting their business interests?
I must say, look, this municipality has been underperforming on areas that relate to good governance. That's why you could not elect a mayor, you could not elect a chief whip in this municipality for almost a year. Therefore, that's one of the problems, because there was no political leadership and administrative leadership. Therefore, people were not accountable in doing their work. Committees were not sitting. Therefore, there was no accountability to the political leadership. That's one of the biggest problems that this city was confronted with. Only committees since last year resumed this week when the council approved a sitting of committees and also the date, because we had a speaker who refused, even when I took over as the mayor, to comply with the regulation of forming and calling committee meeting, because she did not want to be held accountable. And I can tell you that all committees are sitting, and some are sitting next week. It's close to the third or the fourth council now where that will be sitting next week. Therefore, I'm saying that's one of the reasons. When councillors are not accountable and they're running away from accountability, like the speaker and the councillors who are presiding over the municipality, that's why we have only 61% of the people disclosing not only their businesses, but also what they own.
Mayor Kaunda, a question on Twitter from Tula Caesar saying, the eThekwini mayor, how is the municipality planning to recoup revenue for services, electricity and water from the hostels in eThekwini, or are they untouchable? The second question is, why does NUZ have problems with refuse collection every year around November, December? Can he promise it won't happen this year?
Yes, we have resolved the issue of Umlazi. Remember that when we took over the office, we committed ourselves firstly to in-source employees from Umlazi who were employed by the contractors. We have done that successfully. We have employed more than 370 people from the area, which are servicing the area, so which has also added more value in terms of making sure that there are improvements. We acknowledge that we have not yet reached 100%, but there is great improvement in Umlazi, and will continue to sustain activities. In relation to hostels, We are working in hostels. We've got our teams which are hard at work in rehabilitating our hostels as we speak. We are putting geysers in hostels like Bhanga. We are also working in other hostels to rehabilitate the infrastructure which has lapsed, some of it concerning to water services as well as sewage lines. So there is great work that is being done, but we are also working with them to ascertain that we bring about the sense of responsibility since we'll be allocating them our smart prepaid meters so that we'll be able to ensure that we collect revenue in all these areas. But we are working together with our partners and the communities around these areas to ascertain that there is sense of stability. And we must also report and account to the nation that we are one of the cities where the Safer City project is being piloted. We have launched our fusion center in November last year during the safety month, which has started to work, and it's starting to yield some positive results in terms of intervening in the hotspots around the inner city, because we've identified those spots and we are using technology to deal with the issues of combating crime and other issues. So we are at work and we are on track.
We're going to have to leave it there. I appreciate your time. Mayor Bhanga, Mayor Makhubo, Mayor Williams and Mayor Kaunda, they're with us tonight on the Mayors Roundtable. And thank you for your engagement tonight at Newsroom 405. We continue next. We'll also get a little more detail on how the case in the Lufuno Mavunga matter should actually be handled when we continue next. But first, though, time for your Powerball draw.